Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the new episode of Dogs with Every Gun Show. If you didn't know already, my name is Kidlot and I'm going to be your host today, and we're going to be focusing on the SMG category, and pretty much there are several ways to categorize the SMG class, but we're going to be choosing the most simple and obvious way. We're going to be basing them on their magazine size. Basically, half the SMGs in the game have an SMG Big Mag, sounds like Big Mac from McDonald's, and the other half have a little SMG mag, or little mags. They only have 20 rounds in their magazine, while the big mags have 30 rounds in their magazine. That's what makes a difference, and I don't know why this is so. Ask Treyarch, it goes on the list of things to ask Treyarch, like what were they thinking when they were making the game? I don't know, but we're going to start with the first SMG Big Mag right now. The first weapon we're going to be talking about is the default SMG in the game. We're talking about the MP5K, and this gun is fairly popular. You'll see it a fair amount of times when you play the game, but this gun is the most popular during when you just prestige during those first early levels, like levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the reason for this is because the MP5K is the easiest to use among the default weapons that are given to you when you just prestige. We can quickly run by the default weapons in the game. The first one is an AR, and this gun is a burst fire weapon, so it's kind of hard to use. Not a lot of people like burst weapons, so they prefer the automatic, so they stay away from this burst weapon. The next one is a shotgun, but this shotgun only has 2 shells in it, and you have to constantly reload, and that can be annoying sometimes. The next one is an LMG, and quite frankly, not a lot of people like using the LMGs because they make you slow and lethargic. And the last one is a sniper rifle. It's a semi-automatic sniper rifle, which is a good thing, but it's weak in comparison to the other ones that are going to be unlocked later, so they stay away from it. And again, it's a sniper, so it's hard to use. So the most logical and the easiest thing to do is to gravitate towards the easiest weapon to use, and that's the MP5K in this case. And what more can you ask for? It's an SMG and it's fully automatic. What better way to start off the SMG class with this weapon? And it's funny for the MP5K because as soon as your favorite weapon is available for unlock, you will ditch this MP5K, throw it on the ground, not even care about it anymore, and use your favorite weapons all the way to level 50 until you prestige again, where the cycle continues where you will use the MP5K during your early levels and then ditch it again just to use your favorite weapons all the way on and on and on and on. So it's kind of funny, it's a cycle here. The MP5K is just a temporary weapon for the wait for your other favorite weapons when you level up. So it's kind of funny, unless of course the MP5K is one of your favorite weapons. I know for sure the MP5K is one of my favorite weapons. I think on my 15th prestige combat record, it's the 3rd most used weapon for me. So again, it's cool. I prefer the higher damage SMGs like the MP5K. And in my opinion, I think it's great that the MP5K can find its niche in the game as a really good beginner weapon that you can use. Moving on, we're talking about the Spectre, and the unique aspect of the Spectre and the shining thing about the Spectre is its low recoil. Even at long ranges, it's easy to kill people because the gun doesn't jump around, so that's good. The iron sights are also pretty good as well because it's just basically an open rectangle that was cut out with a post in the middle, and as usual, it's good for peripheral vision as well as keeping your eye on the target. And the weird thing about this weapon and a lot of SMGs in the game, as well as the pistols, is that these guns are one-handed. Your character on the screen only holds them with one hand, when quite clearly, you can see that there is a handle on the Spectre, and your character doesn't use it at all. He just disregards it. So I don't know what's that about. On the other versions of Black Ops, the SMGs and pistols are both two-handed. They're two-handed weapons. So I don't know. I think it's just more evidence to why we were given an earlier version of Call of Duty that wasn't ever updated. Like, there's a lot of other evidence, like, for example, Havana. We weren't given the full version of Havana. The hacker perk didn't work quite well because, we couldn't see equipment through walls. So what was the point of using hacker when you couldn't even see the equipment through walls? And, like, not all the catchphrases were in the game. Like, when you hear, like, the mortar team, firing for effect. I never heard that on Wii. That's totally absent on Wii. So I don't know. It's just more evidence, I guess. And I guess back on topic to the Spectre. Don't use rapid fire with this. And this goes with all the SMGs that have 937.5, the really high fire rate SMGs. Rapid fire doesn't work, so I don't know why that is. And I guess I just gave more reason why we were given an earlier version of Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm running extended mags here as always. I like to use the extended mags and steady aim pro combination because I like running around and killing like 3 people, getting lots of triples really quickly, and not having to reload a lot. and quickly just aiming down sight after I sprint. That's the combination I use for all the SMGs, and it especially works well with the Spectre. So that's what I recommend. You guys, of course, you can use whatever you want, but coupled with the low recoil as well as the good side, there really is no reason to use anything else but extended mags. So that's what I use, and that's what I recommend you guys use as well. Moving on to the MPL, and I just want to comment on how the MPL looks. To me, this gun looks really weird. I don't know, guys. It looks like a boomerang to me, so I don't know. You guys can sound off in the comments if you agree with me, but to me, it looks like a boomerang. And another weird thing is that it has a little earring on it, like on the side. I don't know what's that about. The iron sights are pretty weird as well, because there's a lot of things going on. There's like a triangle, a post, things sticking in and out. I don't know what's going on in there. But the weirdest thing of all, the biggest weird factor about the MPL is its recoil, because it's not that the recoil is really big that it juts around, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of like the Enfield. It goes inward into the screen and outward into the screen really fast. So when you couple this with the reflex sight like I'm using here, man, things can get really hectic, because remember, the dot on the reflex sight is a tube. So the dot appears where you put your eye on, and where you're actually killing and aiming is on the other side of the tube. So when you're aiming down sight and aiming at the enemy, you're actually not using the dot to kill the enemy with. You're kind of aiming blindly. It's kind of hard for me to describe, so I definitely recommend you guys use the MPL with reflex sight. But the evidence that I'm going to show you is that, you know, when you get the hit marker, there's a little X that appears. That X, when you use the reflex sight, is never on the dot. It's always away. It's kind of always skew. So again, I don't know, it's just another weird thing about the MPL. So I don't know, try it yourself. I definitely recommend to try MPL with reflex sight. You'll get what I mean. Let's see, other weird things about the MPL. Oh yeah, aside from the AK-74U, the MPL is the only other SMG that accepts the dual mag attachment. So I don't know. For attachments, the other attachment that you can use, obviously, again, I said this like a million times before, use whatever you want to use, whatever you prefer. But if you want that fun factor, if you want to try things, you know how if you tried all the weapons in the game, but you haven't tried all attachments with every weapon in the game, you probably don't know this, so use the MPL with reflex sight. You'll definitely have a good time. It'll be kind of weird at first. It might kind of be a little bit of a challenge as well, because it's hard to kill. You don't know where actually you're aiming at. So, you know, try it out. See what you think about it, and just tell me. I think you'll have a good time actually when you use the MPL with the reflex sight, because man, oh man, that recoil is something else. On to one of the worst weapons in the game. A lot of you guys call this weapon a really bad weapon, and I do agree with you as well. We're talking about the Uzi, and man, this gun has horrible recoil, and even worse, this gun has terrible iron sights. I mean, you can barely see anything through the little peephole that they give you. You constantly lose your target, and if you lose your target, that's really bad luck for you, because you have to exit your sight and re-enter them, and by that time, you're probably dead, because they probably already gunned you down. So that's really bad. This is one of the few guns I definitely recommend you use an iron sight replacement. Either a reflex sight or a red dot sight will suit you well, not an ACOG sight, because the ACOG sight will exacerbate the recoil, so don't use that. And if you're missing out, if you feel that you wanted to use another attachment, I guess a more useful attachment, then use the Warlord perk for sure, because you can put on extended mag, suppressor, not rapid fire of course, but any other attachment, as well as an optic. And then you can have both as well, because both will suit you well, both will benefit you, as well as the extra grenades. The extra grenades will not hurt at all. But the other tier 2 perks are fine too. If you really want your sleight of hand, you can use that as well. And if you really want to use steady aim too, that's good as well. Generally, I follow the trend that I pretty much use steady aim for all submachine guns, because I feel those are rusher weapons. So when you rush to the enemy, you can quickly get into your sights and kill them really fast before they even have a chance to react. And then sleight of hand is more of an AR kind of thing, because I want to stay a little back when using an assault rifle and use the sleight of hand pro ability to really zoom in really fast while standing still. Obviously, Scout does not apply, and Harden is not really good for SMGs. Harden is good for assault rifles and LMGs, and also sniper rifles too, if you really want to get those really cool wallbang trick shots. But all in all, the Uzi is not really good of a weapon, so it definitely needs help. It needs your help. It needs you to be a really good aimer. It also needs you to put on the right perks and the right attachments in order for it to benefit from those things. And here's something else that happened to me in the same game after I got my dogs. Actually, I was trying to kill this guy, and then bang! I mean, like, did you see that? My own dog team killed me. I mean, that has never happened to me before, and I don't know what to think about that. Like, I'll replay it again. I was trying to kill this guy, hip firing him, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get bit by my own dog. So I don't know, maybe I was in the middle, like when the dog was lunging, that he killed me instead, and I was in the middle. He killed him afterwards. But like, wow, that's never happened to me before. That was actually kind of funny. So I want to know from you guys, has that ever happened to you? Sound off in the comments. Last but not least, we have the AK-74U, and I've already done the AK-74U in a previous episode. If you look back, you'll see that the AK-74U is featured in the Noob Weapons episode. So you guys can check that out if you haven't already. And this is one of the earlier dogs that I was trying to get. As you see, I have the WA-2000. I haven't gotten the dogs with it yet. And that was really a stubborn choice for me because the WA-2000 is not really good in a small map like Summit because there's not a lot of long sight lines for me to take advantage of. So I don't know what I was thinking there, but I raged really hard, guys. I raged really hard. I quickly switched to my 74U because these guys were constantly in our face. They were always rushing us. They were always rushing us in our face, trying to cap flags and stuff. So I was like, you know what? The sniper rifle isn't going to cut it for me. I have to do something else. So I switched to my 74U, and I really just went to town with these guys. You'll see this is one of my fastest dogs that I've ever gotten, and you know, I don't want to repeat my analysis of the AK-74U because I already done that in a previous episode. So again, check it out, guys, if you haven't seen it already. But you know what the AK-74U is about. It's just a popular weapon, so powerful. It excels really well in close quarters combat. As you see here, I always get engaged when the opponent is just a couple of feet away from me, and I always win the gunfight. I barely get scratched, if at all. Maybe I just get they get a few lucky hits here and there. But you know what the AK-74U is about. I'm showing it you here again, just you know, for the show. The CCP also kind of makes it, I guess, a little bit easier with the aim assist. Not a whole lot, but a little bit easier. And you know what this gun's about. This is the AK-74U kicking some serious butt. And that's about it for this episode of Dogs with Every Gun Show. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And stay tuned, guys, because another one is coming sooner than you think. So frequently stop by. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. My name is Kidlot, and I'm out of here.